Hello, everybody. Miss Sackett here. We are getting ready to talk about the element of design, color, which I love color. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And most artwork does have color in it, the majority. And of course, you know, I do love drawing too without color, which we have just finished up. So let's talk about the element of design, color. And there's a lot of things to be focusing on. And while you're looking through the slideshow, I want you to see how some things are arranged that I've kind of done on purpose. If we were in my classroom, you would notice that things are in color wheel order or visible spectrum order, which is the basic 6 plus indigo for science. So let's talk about color. Oops. Let's make sure I'm hitting the right button. Okay, color wheel. Color wheel is basically a band of colors as they are in the visible spectrum. Now I know back in the day in science class you used to get out the prisms, which are elongated triangles made out of crystal, and what you would look through them and you could see what's known as a rainbow, which is the visible spectrum. And of course, also a rainbow also creates the color wheel. And what happens is to create a beautiful rainbow, which I love, there must be moisture in the air. So usually that's why you see them after a rain or if the sun's out while it's raining, because the light diffuses through the water and that's how you can see the colors, which is pretty cool. And the same principle is kind of with this visible spectrum, that the light disperses through the angles of the crystal, and then you can see the colors of the color wheel, which you have probably heard before. Now, for art, we have the basic 6, but we really do not want to mess up science. For a real complete color wheel for art, there's actually 12, but that is the intermediate colors that are made by the basic 6. So the basic colors are, so we see here, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Indigo is for science because in art it's actually a blue-violet. It's one of the science visible spectrum colors because there are some colors that are not seen by the naked eye, like ultraviolet, which are the rays we know now that affects our skin and creates sun damage. Okay, and violet. And if you notice it says violet, not purple, because we want to know the technical names. So in art class and in science, it should be violet. And because there is a little saying to help us remember the color wheel colors, excuse me, in order. And you will see this in art classes. And you'll see it in science if you haven't seen it already. I know back, I think it was kids were telling me 4th grade, that they used to look through the visible spectrum through a prism. I don't know if you guys do that anymore, but it's cool. And of course, you know, to learn about rainbows, how the light diffuses through the water droplets to create those colors. It's almost like going through the prism, same principle. It's so awesome, right? I love it. Who doesn't love a rainbow, right? Okay, so let's talk about how to remember the colors of the visible spectrum. To remember the colors of the basic color wheel. And I kind of think of it as a guy's name to help me remember them, because this is the correct order. We always start with red, which is R right here. Red, R is for red. O is for orange, Y is for yellow. So to me, that's Roy, somebody's first name. And then we have G for green, which is probably his middle initial. That's the way I think of it. And then the last name's Biv, not Bip, Biv, which is B for blue, I for indigo, and V for violet. Now you notice indigo is underlined because in art it's a blue-violet, and that is an intermediate color. So we kind of skip it for the basic 6, but you want all 7 We don't want to mess up science class, right? So ROYGBIV. And a good way to remember it is to remember ROYGBIV. Kind of close your eyes or stare off in your spot where you can remember things. And you kind of say to yourself, ROYGBIV. So it's red, orange, yellow, Roy, G, green, B, IV, blue, indigo, violet. And you want to practice that so you memorize it in order, you know, looking away from the colors. Just remember, Roy, G, Biv. And sometimes the answer is the colors in order. And sometimes ROYGBIV is the question. You will see it in science. Believe it or not, there is a lot of science and math hidden kind of in art. I know, you didn't know I do it. But what we're doing is we're applying it in a different way, which is awesome. So what's important to know is ROYGBIV. Learn it, write it down somewhere, practice saying it so that you memorize it by heart if you haven't already. I know that when I taught elementary school for a while, my kids learned this in 2nd grade. So I know that you can memorize these in order. So practice, practice, practice. Write it down, ROYGBIV, so that you know the colors in order, because it also helps you with the arrangement and creating color wheels, knowing where colors come from and what colors go well together. And that's important when you start moving into doing artwork with color. Whoopsie. Okay. Don't look at that. I have flashed ahead. I wanted to say some stuff before I showed you the slide. Excuse me. All right, now we're going to talk about the colors that make up the color wheel. We will be creating a practice color wheel. And that's why it's important that you have the right colors. We will be making a complementary picture, and it helps to know where the colors are coming from. Now, the first colors we're going to talk about are the most important. The first colors are the primary colors. And most of you may know this or may not know it already. Now what happens is we have red, yellow, and blue are our primary colors. The reason they are the primary colors is because you need to have red pigment, yellow pigment, or blue pigment. You cannot mix to get those colors. And sometimes if you, I was a printmaker in college, there are process colors, like the ones that are in your printer cartridges, which are magenta, which is my favorite color. Magenta is my favorite color, and it's right there on the lip. Magenta, cyan, which is kind of like a turquoise, and yellow are the process colors, and they blend better. Because this red here that you think of as candy apple red or red, if I mix that with the other colors, it makes some weird blends. This actually has some yellow in it. Shh, I know, to make it. But anyway, primary colors, or colores primero, they are the most important colors, because from these 3 colors, we can make all the rest of the colors. All the rest of the colors are made from red, yellow, and blue. So we start with 3. Before you know it, we have 6. Then we have 12. Then we have 24. We can make brown. We mix a whole bunch, and it gives the appearance of black, but black isn't really a color. We'll talk about it. A lot of times if you see ink and it separates, you'll see some blues and some other colors in there. So red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors. And what I want to do is to look at a color wheel. This is important. Let's see, put this forward. Okay, so this is a basic color wheel right here. This one I have in the art room. And this one's a little bit newer. It's a little bit brighter because it hasn't been through sun damage like this one. Now, what's important is that we see where colors are coming from. So right here we have red. Here we have yellow, and here we have blue. Now, we're going to talk color wheel. Now, the magic number for a color wheel is 3. When in doubt, if it's a color wheel question, you say 3, and I say that is a good answer, even if it's wrong, because sometimes it's the answer. The number's a little different, because we have 4 and we have 12. But anyway, so when we look at the primary colors, they kind of create a triangle, which we'll be talking about shortly. And here in the center of this color wheel is red, yellow, and blue. Now, what's important to know is they are the first colors that you want to set up on a color wheel. And what's important is that in between the primary colors, there are 1, 2, 3 shapes. So then we go up here to yellow. 1, 2, 3, blue. 1, 2, 3, red. 3 in between. And you always want to start with the primary colors. It doesn't matter which color you start with. If you can start with yellow, you can start with red. But wherever you put them, you have to have 3 spaces behind them. So let's look at this better one here. Okay, so here we have red. And see, this one's arranged differently. It's still color wheel. There's still 3 spaces apart. So we have red. Then we go 1, 2, 3. The fourth one's yellow. 1, 2, 3. Then we get to blue. 1, 2, 3. Back to red. So you want to have the 3 spaces in between. And if you notice, you know, this has 12 colors from those 3. Then we can, of course, get different blends and keep blending because you can have many different colors that are close to each other but a little different. So those are the primary colors. And we will look at these in a bit. Let me go back to my slideshow. Okay, so red, yellow, and blue. Now, primary colors are the first colors. They're the most important. Always, always, always. Most important because these are the colors from which all the rest are produced. We can make all the rest of the colors with red, yellow, and blue. And mainly the process colors mix better, which is magenta, cyan, and yellow, which is a red, a blue, and a yellow. Okay, so let's talk about the next colors, which is the secondary. Just think segundo. Secondary, they're number 2. They're not top dogs. The primary colors are the top dogs, okay? Secondary colors are resulted when you take 2 primary colors and mix them together. So let's say we have red and yellow, and we mix them together, they make orange. Then let's take yellow and blue, mix them together, and you get green. And then last but not least, that I am blocking, it says violet. You take red and blue, mix it together, and you get violet. So those are the secondary colors. Orange, green, and violet. Naranja, verde, y violeta. Or some Spanish countries call it a different word than violeta, but there it is. Okay, so let's check out the color wheels. Let's do this one. All right, so red is right here, and then yellow's here, and directly in the middle is orange, because the colors, and this is important to know, the colors are always in between the 2 colors that make it. So if we have yellow and red, and in the middle is orange. Can you see how the color wheels start to set up? So if we take yellow and blue, and right in the middle is green. And then if we go to blue and red, right, oops, I don't want to do that. Right in the middle is violet, okay? And it's important that we use the technical term violet, because when we learn about the intermediate colors, none of them have the word purple in them, okay? So we have rojo y amarillo, naranja, amarillo, azul, verde, rojo y azul, violeta. So the secondary colors are in between the 2 primaries that make it right in the middle, because we will end up with a total of 12 shapes. Okay, so you want to be practicing that and know it. I do have this picture available for you to see. and this one. And they're labeled, not even hiding answers from you, but it helps to show where things are coming from by knowing, oopsie, how they are made. Real important. Let's pull this back up. And I would say the majority of you learned about the primary and secondary colors in elementary school, but then again, maybe not, so we need to go over it because I always have a bunch of kids that have not learned it yet, and they need to know it. All right, and this chart is basically telling you where the colors come from. And if you can look at a color wheel, like the two pictures I showed you, which are available for you, we have red and yellow, make orange. Rojo y amarillo, naranja. Then we have yellow and blue, make green. Amarillo y azul, verde. And then we have blue and red, makes violet. We have azul y rojo, violeta. And those are the secondary colors. Always remember, primary first. And if you notice, they're up here in front. Secondary comes behind. Okay, primary first, then the secondary colors. The secondary colors are made from the primary colors. And the wheel starts to turn and the colors start to grow and I get so excited. I do. I love colors. Okay, so since we're going to be making practice color wheels, it's important to know where the colors are placed, where they come from, and why. Now, intermediate colors, which are also known as tertiary colors, intermediate means in between. So they're in between two colors. They're in between the two colors that make them. And intermediate colors are also the ones that I think are pretty pretty. I do. You know, they really are. Okay, so these colors are created by mixing a primary. Remember, primary always comes first. Remember that. A primary color and a secondary color. Boom, mix them together. A primary color and a secondary color will make a intermediate color. And these are colors that are near each other. For some reason, my image has shifted and it's cut off the word the. Bad. All right, colors created by mixing one primary color and one secondary color that are near each other on the color wheel. So for example, we're not going to take yellow and go across the street and mix violet. What's going to happen is it'll make a brown. So you want to keep things that are near each other. So we have orange is near yellow. So if we mix yellow and orange together, we get yellow-orange. Okay, red and orange are near each other. So if we mix it together, we get red-orange. So you always want to think that they're closest things. So right here, this is actually orange, and this one's red, and they make a red-orange. So we have orange here, and we have yellow here, and it makes a yellow-orange. And of course, yellow's here, green is here, and it makes a yellow-green. So we have green here, blue is in the M spot, you mix them together, you get blue-green. And the same, blue and red, mix it together, you get a blue-violet. And I lost my place. I'm sorry, violet's here. All right, we mix violet and red together and we get a red-violet. And if you notice, it's red-orange, red-violet, yellow-orange, yellow-green, blue-green, blue-violet. You're always going to say the primary color first when you name an intermediate color. And we're going to learn that Crayola thinks it's a good idea to come up with funky names for colors, but it doesn't help when we're learning. So you can't always go by the name of the color on the actual crayon. So if you need help, ask Ms. Sackett. I will be telling you what colors are what that we're using. It's pretty okay for the first 12. It's when we get into the colors we'll be using for our complementary picture, where Crayola starts naming colors, some weird colors. So intermediate colors bring us the last 6, so we end up with 12. So you can think of numbers of 3s, Everything's 3 spaces apart, starting with the primaries. You can think of 6. When you add together the primary and secondary, you get 6. And when we add in the intermediate colors, we get another 6, which is 12. All right, so let's look at the picture. And you want to look at these color wheels and kind of practice, because when you make a color wheel, first you're going to have the primary colors with 3 spaces in between. Then you'll have the secondary colors. When you finish the secondary colors, every other spot is empty, and it's important that you do it in order, otherwise you end up with colors in the wrong spot. And you'll notice the color wheel is also labeled here so that you know I'm not hiding any answers. We're just going to create one so that we know. So if we look at this, here's yellow and here's orange. You mix those two together and you get yellow-orange. So it's right between the 2 colors that make it. All right, so we have yellow and green. Right between is yellow-green, the 2 colors that make it. Then we go over here, green and blue, blue-green. In between the 2 colors that make it, blue and violet, we get blue-violet, and it's right between the 2 colors that make it. See the pattern happening? And then we have red and violet. Right in between it is red-violet. It's in between the 2 colors that make it. And of course we have red and orange, and there is red-orange in between it. All the colors have relationships of why they're placed in specific spaces. You see how it blends very beautifully from one color to the next. If you put a color in the wrong spot, let's say I put green over here where orange is supposed to be, it just looks out of sync. It looks like, whoa, what happened? So this is important. This is why when we make our own color wheels, you want to do the colors in order. Excuse me. Primary colors, red, yellow, blue. Then the secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. And the intermediates are last, and they fit in between the 2 that make it. Come on. All right. Let's talk about complementary colors. Now, complementary colors are pretty cool. They're best friends. They go well together. And this is one of our essential questions is, why do complementary colors go together so well? And why do they have the greatest contrast? So let's take a look at them. Complementary colors are colors directly opposite each other on the color wheel. So when we look at that color wheel, we have red and green. And if we go from red, and we walk across the street, we have green. Okay, and that's one set, reds and greens. One set of complementary colors. Red is a primary. And green is made from yellow and blue. They don't share any colors in common. Red's red, and then green is a mixture of yellow and blue. So complementary colors have the greatest contrast because they have no color in common. It actually makes up the 3 primaries. So let's look at orange and blue. Blue is a primary color. It's not mixed. And then over here we have orange, which is made from yellow and red. They don't share any colors. Now, if we talk about red and orange, they both share red. So they have a color in common. That's the difference of colors that are right next to each other. So if we look at the color wheel, here we have blue. And if we go across the street, there's his buddy orange. See, they're not related because this one is made out of yellow and red. And of course, the last complementary color is yellow and violet. Yellow's yellow. You can't mix to get it. And then violet is made out of red and blue. So complementary colors have the most contrast because they have no colors in common. It's made with a primary, and one is a secondary color. Pretty cool, huh? And a lot of advertising companies will use complementary colors because they pop when they're not mixed together. They really pop Like if I had a violet background with yellow letters, those letters would really pop out. A lot of times advertising companies will also use split complementaries, which is these intermediates across the street from everybody. There'll be yellow, green, and red, violet. They go well together. Yellow, orange, and blue, violet. You see that a lot. And blue, green, and red, orange. Kind of look like beachy colors to me. So that's where the complementary colors come from. And we will be doing a picture. And see, this one actually is, this image here is the blue, green, and the red, orange. Split complementaries. So the complementary colors are red and green, orange and blue, and yellow and violet. And they have the most contrast because they have no colors in common. We will be doing a complementary picture, which I'll talk about later, and you'll be choosing which of those colors you use. All right, next, this is why 3 is our magic number, and we will be doing a triad color picture in third quarter, so after we get back from break. Now, tri, as in triangle, magic number 3, right? 3, 3, 3. Triads are 3 colors, like the primary colors, that are equal distance, which is 3 spaces apart on the color wheel. So remember I told you the primary colors, 3 spaces apart. They create our first triad. So if we look at this picture here, 1, 2, 3, blue. 1, 2, 3, then red. 1, 2, 3, then yellow. Okay, triads are any 3 colors that have 3 spaces apart. Now, the first 2 are real easy to remember. The first one is the primary colors. They create the first triad. The second one is the secondary colors, which are orange, green, and violet. Orange, green, and violet. And they have 3 spaces in between. Those colors are already grouped in 3s, so they're easy to find. Now, the other 2 sets are created by the intermediates. And I sometimes have a hard time memorizing them, but guess what? I know how to find them on the color wheel. So the first one is yellow, orange, blue, green, and red, violet. They're 3 spaces apart on the color wheel, which I'll show you in a second. And then we have red, orange, blue, violet, and yellow, green. They're 3 spaces apart. So a triad are 3 colors that are equal distance, which is 3 colors, 3 spaces apart on the color wheel. And that's another reason why our magic number is 3. So let's look at the color wheel. Okay, so if you can't remember what goes with what, the primary colors you should know automatically. The secondary colors you should know automatically. But when we go to intermediates, if you can't remember, so you go find one. All right, here's yellow, green. What goes with yellow, green? So I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3. I get to blue, violet. So it's yellow, green, and blue, violet. And then 1, 2, 3, and they go with red, orange. So that's how you can find them. So you want to pull up these images and practice finding the different colors. It's going to help you. This is also why we're making a practice color wheel. It helps you to know where the colors are coming from. So let's say I want to know what goes with red, violet. I like red, violet. What colors trait the triad with red, violet? So let's go 1, 2, 3. I get to yellow, orange. 1, 2, 3, and the next one over is blue, green. So I have red, violet, yellow, orange, and blue, green. So that is how you can find the triads on the color wheel. And we'll go over the triads again after we do the complementary pictures. Right now we're going to be focusing on the color wheel and the complementary colors. All right, analogous colors are also colors that go well together. I'm going to go over this quickly because this is actually art 2 and 3. Analogous colors are colors next to or adjacent. You want a good vocabulary word for a test, adjacent. Fancy word means next to. All right. Analogous colors are groups of colors that are adjacent or next to each other on the color wheel. They're related colors. Remember when I talked about the complementary colors having no colors in common? These ones are related because they have a color and example in common. For example, we have green, blue, and blue, violet. Okay. Blue, green, they all share blue. And blue, green has green. and blue-green has blue, and green has blue. So they share blue. And then we have blue and blue-violet. Of course, violet has blue, and blue-violet has blue and violet. So they're related to blue. And those colors, when they're done in order, look great together. And of course, we have warm colors, which is one half of the color wheel. These are colors associated with things that are warm, like the sun, fire. They are red, violet, red, red, orange, orange, yellow, and yellow, green. And this is something we'll cover more in Art 2. And of course, the opposite of warm colors is cool colors. These are colors that are associated with things that are cool, like the forest, water, and ice. And they're on the other half of the color wheel. They're yellow, green, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, and red, violet. And yeah, this is something that I talk more of with Art 2, but these are colors that go well together. And if you've ever seen the movie Pocahontas, they use warm and cool colors really well. The forest scenes are all cool colors, and the battle scenes are warm colors. So, all right, and this is important. Achromatic means free from color, because we can make tints by adding white, and then we can get the middle tones, which are gray, and of course black. Black is like white, black and white photographs or graphite work. Achromatic means free from colors. If you notice, black and white are not on the color wheel. We can see them, but they're not colors. So what I love is word oranges. Whenever you put an A in front of something, it means without. It doesn't have it. Chroma is a word for color. So if you break it down, chroma, A without color, without the color. So achromatic means free from color, and that's where we get white, gray, and black. Yes, you can see them, but they're not technical colors. And I, for the most part, unless I'm doing outlining and stuff, if I'm painting, I don't use black at all. I will use what's called Prussian blue, which is a really, really dark blue, and burnt umber, which is a very, very dark brown, and I mix them together, and it almost looks like it's black. And it gives it a more natural feel to it. All right, so that is colors. Again, first we're going to focus on color wheel and then complementary colors. Study the pictures of the color wheels so you know things. And tomorrow, I am going to talk about how to create your practice color wheel so that you are ready to soar and know where the colors are coming from. That practice helps you to know where your colors are coming from. So I have this picture in there for you, and I have this picture. And when we are creating our color wheel, they are labeled, so you're just not missing anything. Okay. All right, everybody, have a great day.